What if I told you that everything you've been taught about love, attraction, and what women want from men is a complete lie? You've been told to chase her, to worship her, to prove your worth through endless sacrifice. You've been told that if you give her the world, she will stay. But look at your life, look at the lives of men all around you. Does that really work? Or do the very women you fight so hard to keep eventually pull away, lose respect, and treat you like an option instead of a prize? This is the brutal truth most men cannot swallow. Women do not crave the man who gives them everything. They crave the man who could give them everything but doesn't need to. The man who stands on his own 2 feet. The man who knows his value even if she walks away. That kind of man becomes magnetic. That kind of man becomes unforgettable. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. You see, attraction isn't built on how much you give. It's built on how much you can hold back. It's built on your ability to stay calm when she pulls away, your ability to stay strong when she tests you, and your ability to walk away when she crosses your boundaries. That's the secret no one told you, because society benefits when men stay weak, desperate, and easy to control. But today, you're going to hear what no one else dares to say. Because once you understand this, once you embody it, you will never chase again. She will chase you, she will fight to keep you, and she will know deep down that she can never replace you. Keep watching, because what comes next will change everything. Attachment makes you weak, detachment makes you magnetic. I want you to really pause and absorb that, because everything you've been conditioned to believe about relationships tells you the opposite. From childhood stories to romantic movies, you've been told that love is about holding tighter, proving yourself, chasing endlessly until she finally validates you. But that narrative has destroyed countless men, because when you build your entire sense of worth around someone else, you hand them the keys to your mind, your emotions, and your identity. And the moment you do that, you are no longer a man in her eyes, you are a servant of her approval. Think about the pattern. The more you cling, the more she drifts. The more desperate you become, the more indifferent she grows. And you interpret that as her being cruel or heartless, when in reality it is nature itself at work. Women are biologically and psychologically drawn to strength, stability, and independence. It is not arrogance, it is not coldness. It is the quiet confidence of a man who knows his life has meaning outside of her. A man who can look at her and say, I want you, but I do not need you. That man is magnetic because his attraction is not born out of desperation but out of choice. Now let me tell you why attachment makes you weak. When you are attached in an unhealthy way, every small change in her behavior feels like an earthquake shaking your entire world. If she doesn't reply to your text, you spiral. If she seems distant, you chase harder. If she withdraws her attention, you collapse. What does this communicate? It tells her that your emotions are tied to her moods. It tells her that she has power over you. And once she senses that power, she loses the very attraction that pulled her in initially. Because no woman can truly respect a man who cannot stand on his own 2 feet emotionally. Detachment is not about being cold or emotionless. It is about being centered. It is about knowing that your sense of self is rooted in your purpose, your values, your growth, not in her approval or presence. When you are detached, you love freely but without fear. You can give, but you never beg. You can care deeply, but you never collapse if it ends. That creates an aura of strength that women find irresistible. Why? Because it signals survival, it signals leadership, it signals that you are not fragile. And in the chaos of life, a woman instinctively seeks a man who can remain composed when everything else falls apart. This is why men who detach are the ones women chase. They are not begging for attention. They are not constantly seeking reassurance. They are not bending their boundaries just to keep her happy. They walk in their truth, and she either joins them on that path or she doesn't. And paradoxically, because they are not desperate to keep her. She feels the need to work harder to keep them. The polarity flips, and the hunter becomes the hunted. Detachment is also the antidote to manipulation. When you are overly attached, you are easy to control. A little withdrawal, a little silence, a little game, and suddenly you're doing everything to win her back. But when you are detached, those tactics fall flat. You don't react, you don't panic, you don't lose yourself. You remain steady, and in that steadiness you reveal her games for what they are: powerless. That is why women cannot resist men who detach, because detachment dismantles control. So I want you to ask yourself, are you living as a man in control of his emotions, or as a man controlled by his attachments? Because the difference between the two is the difference between being magnetic or being invisible. The first stands tall even if she leaves. The second falls apart the moment she threatens to go. Women are not blind to this difference. They feel it deeply, and they gravitate toward the man who has the courage to stand alone. And here is the paradox you need to embrace: when you let go, you gain. When you stop clinging, she clings. When you stop needing, she needs. That is not manipulation, it is the natural order of attraction. The less you attach your identity to her, the more she sees you as a man worth attaching herself to. Attachment makes you weak, detachment makes you magnetic. Never forget that truth. Because the day you embody it is the day you will stop chasing, stop begging, stop collapsing, and finally become the man she cannot resist. She tests you to see if you're anchored. This is the part men hate to hear, but it is one of the deepest truths about attraction. Women don't test you because they enjoy playing games or because they're cruel. They test you because nature has wired them to search for strength, stability, and leadership in a man. These tests are not always verbal, and they are rarely direct. They show up as silence, as mood swings, as sudden distance, as a challenge to your boundaries. And most men fail these tests because they take them personally. They believe she is rejecting them, when in reality she is measuring them. When a woman tests you, she's asking a question without words. Are you grounded or are you needy? Are you in control of yourself or are you ruled by emotion? Are you a man who stands firm in the storm, or will you collapse at the first sign of pressure? These are not conscious questions she sits and plans. They are subconscious instincts that guide her behavior. Because deep down, every woman wants to know, if I lean on you, will you hold steady? Or will you crumble beneath me? Most men fail because they react. She pulls away and they chase harder. She becomes distant and they start over-explaining. She tests his patience and he lashes out in anger. Each of these reactions communicates one thing: you are not anchored. You are being thrown around by her moods. And when she sees that, she loses the feeling of safety and respect that fuels attraction. Because a woman cannot feel safe with a man who cannot regulate himself. But the man who is anchored, he doesn't take her tests as attacks. He sees them for what they are: opportunities to prove his steadiness. When she withdraws, he does not panic. When she grows emotional, he does not match her volatility. When she challenges his boundaries, he calmly enforces them without aggression, without begging. This man shows her, through his behavior, that his identity does not depend on her validation. That is what makes him magnetic. Let me put it this way: if you walk into a storm and panic at every flash of lightning, the storm owns you. But if you walk into that storm with calmness, knowing that you will not be moved, suddenly the storm begins to quiet down in your presence. That is what happens in relationships. A woman's emotional storms are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to reveal whether or not you are solid. And the man who fails them repeatedly finds himself abandoned, disrespected, or manipulated. The man who passes them becomes the anchor she never wants to let go of. Tests can come in many forms. She might give you silence after a disagreement just to see if you collapse into begging. She might provoke you emotionally to see if you can keep composure. She might flirt with pushing your boundaries to see if you will stand firm or fold. Each test is a mirror reflecting back your strength or your weakness. And this is why many men confuse tests with drama. They complain, "Why is she always doing this?" But what they fail to realize is that attraction is never static. It must be earned and re-earned through consistency. And these tests are the unconscious ways women check if the man they admire is still present inside you, or if he has faded into weakness. The truth is, women don't want to lead men emotionally. They don't want to carry the burden of strength when chaos arises. They want to feel that the man beside them can absorb pressure without breaking. That's what makes them feel safe, and safety is the foundation of attraction. If she feels that she can shake you with a text, a silence, or a raised voice, then deep inside she knows you cannot lead her through life. But if she feels your calmness even when she storms, that calmness becomes irresistible. So when you face her tests, don't see them as battles to win or traps to escape. See them as the natural rhythm of attraction, a constant call to stand as the man you claim to be. Fail them, and you dissolve into neediness. Pass them, and you rise into respect. It's that simple. Remember this, she isn't testing your words, she's testing your spirit. And if you are anchored, you don't need to perform, you don't need to prove, you don't need to beg. You simply are. That stillness, that strength, that centeredness, that is what makes her trust you, respect you, and desire you. The storm is not your enemy, it is your stage, and if you can stand firm in it, she will never want to let you go. The man who can walk away holds all the power. This is the truth most men refuse to accept because it terrifies them. They cannot imagine turning their back on a woman they desire, a woman they've invested their heart, their time, their dreams into. But the irony is this: the very fear of losing her is the reason they lose her. Women are not drawn to men who cling, who beg, who cannot survive without them. They are drawn to men who know that love is beautiful, but it is not oxygen. The man who can walk away is not bitter, he is not cold, he is free, and that freedom makes him impossible to ignore. Think about the energy of someone who stays only because they are terrified of being alone. That energy is suffocating. It drains attraction because it is rooted in dependency. Women feel it immediately. They sense when a man has nowhere else to go, when he is too afraid to let go, when his world collapses without her presence. And while some women exploit this weakness, most simply lose all respect for it. Because respect is impossible when you know someone is held hostage by their fear of losing you. Now compare that to the man who can walk away. He doesn't walk away to play games. He doesn't use silence as a weapon. He doesn't detach because he doesn't care. He simply knows his value is not defined by her acceptance. If the relationship feeds his growth, his peace, and his purpose, he stays. If it destroys his boundaries, his dignity, or his mission, he leaves. Not out of anger, not out of ego, out of clarity. And that kind of clarity is intoxicating to a woman because it communicates one thing: you cannot control me. Control is the hidden battlefield in every relationship. The one who fears abandonment the most is the one who is controlled. And this is where most men lose. They place the woman at the center of their world. They orbit her like the sun, and they think this devotion will win her heart. But it only makes them predictable, weak, and replaceable. The man who can walk away breaks that cycle. He shows her that his life will move forward regardless of whether she stays or not. And paradoxically, that is when she begins to fight to keep him. This is why I say the man who can walk away holds all the power. Not because he is playing a power game, but because he refuses to be enslaved by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone. These are the chains that keep men trapped in toxic dynamics. Once those chains are broken, a man becomes untouchable. He no longer tolerates disrespect because he does not need her validation. He no longer fears loss because he knows his worth does not diminish when someone leaves. He no longer collapses at the threat of abandonment because he has already made peace with himself. That man is free, and freedom is the highest form of strength. I want you to understand something deeper here. Women crave certainty in a man. Certainty does not mean he never doubts, never questions, never feels. Certainty means he knows who he is with or without her. And the ultimate display of certainty is the ability to walk away when the relationship no longer aligns with who he is. That act doesn't just protect him, it commands respect. It makes her realize that his love is not born of desperation but of choice. And women cannot resist being chosen by a man who doesn't need them but desires them. The tragedy is that most men never reach this place. They beg, they plead, they tolerate mistreatment just to avoid the silence of being alone. But in doing so, they kill attraction, they lose respect, and they strip themselves of dignity. Meanwhile, the few men who master detachment, who embrace freedom, who walk away when their boundaries are crossed, these are the men women remember, long for, and regret losing. Because once you've experienced a man who is free, every other man who is enslaved feels small. So let me leave you with this. The power is not in how hard you chase, or how much you prove, or how long you hold on. The power is in your willingness to let go. The man who can walk away is the man who is never truly left behind.